Part 2, continuing to raise steam on my loco. One of the jobs I do before I roll it out is check that the mechanical lubricator has oil in it, and you can see the oil level up there. And what I also do is I wind it a little bit to push oil into the cylinders. This is the mechanical lubricator for the cylinders. So I just get a bit in before I actually start rolling. This is connected to the expansion link, and every time the wheels go round, it goes on a notch, clicks it on a notch or two. I've got plenty of oil in there. To get the engine out, I have to push the gas mechanical down the track and out of the way first. Get the handbrake off. Put the handbrake back on. Coupling up the driving trolley. Then the passenger trolley. I'm putting two cars on. Then I make sure I have all the stuff I need on board to fire up. Now's the time to move the train forward and put some water in the boiler. So let's take a look at the tools I have here to start the engine up. First off is a piece of bronze weight which I sit in the back of the loco here to give it a bit more stability because it's a bit front heavy. I have a chute here for getting the coal into the firebox without spilling it all over the cab floor. I have a pair of pliers. I have the poker and a shovel. Of course I've got oil. I have electrical supply from a battery which I'm going to use for the blower. I have the specialized dog poop fire lighter that I seem to love, and I have the blow lamp. Now, one of the first things I need to do is, well, first things outside I need to do before I fill the boiler with water is to make sure the blow downs are screwed up tight, the ash pan's screwed on properly, the flaps on the bottom of the ash pan, and that the water drain at the back of the side tank is closed. This is the blow down here, and there's a nut on the end of it. I just close that up. I'll do the same thing on the other side. I've got the ash pan which is underneath these wheels here, which I know I've already closed, and I've got a drain plug at the back here for the tanks, which I also know I've screwed up tight. So everything's good there. Here's a quick tour of the cab. Got the regulator there, which is a Stroudley regulator. It means it's actually, progressive as it goes across. It's not a screw down regulator. Got the reversing lever here. So it's a pole reversing lever, and I can actually notch back. That's in full forward gear. That's full reverse gear. That's mid gear, means it won't go anywhere. And then you've got these various notches you can see coming up here, and it will actually notch up and use the steam more efficiently as the engine goes along. On the floor by the side of the, you can see it maybe just around the back of here, is the cylinder drain cock lever. That's on the floor there. Just about see it poking up. This is the blower here, which I'll tighten up now. I always leave everything loose while it's cooling down. This is the right-hand injector steam valve, which operates with the water injector. This is the water valve here. This is the steam valve for the right-hand injector. Gauge glass here with a gauge glass blow down at the bottom of it to make sure it's tight. Whistle valve here. This is the left-hand injector. That's the steam valve, and that's the water valve for the left-hand injector. I'll tighten that. I'll leave that open just while it heats up. This is a steam brake here, operates on all the wheels, and this is the hand brake here for the steam engine. Those are the two clacks for letting water into the boiler, and underneath is a third clack. Firebox door there, putting the coal in. And I have a pressure gauge here with a red line at 100 pounds. And by the side of it is an oil pressure gauge. You can just see it down there. That's the oil pressure gauge just there. And that's for telling me that the lubricator's working, the mechanical lubricator's working at the front of the locomotive. Before I start putting the water in the boiler, I check that the hand pump has freed up and that there are no stuck valves in it, and there aren't any stuck valves in it. Okay, that's my little pump lever. So the first thing I do is I fill this tank here. The other tank. The two tanks are balanced. There's a rare tank underneath the bunker here, which is a pipe connecting this side tank to the bunker tank, from the bunker tank back to this side tank, so they level up. Now, I'll fill the tank here, which is in the driving car. That's connected through to the bottom of an injector on the right-hand side here to provide cold water so the injector works. And there's a little rubber tube connecting the car and the locomotive. So let's fill this up. One thing I should point out is that in these water fills, I have a strainer just to keep out bits of grass and coal dust and stuff from getting into the water supply and jamming up the injectors. What I do is I pump water from the tank into the boiler. You can see in the cab now the water coming up in the water gauge right here. I take it up to 3/4 of a glass. Give the water room for expansion as it heats up. The other thing I do is I make sure I'm in mid-gear, that the drain cocks are open on the floor there, that the blower is closed, the regulator is closed. I leave one of these valves. I'm going to close that one. I'm going to leave open this steam valve, so I then hear the steam. Once the boiler pressure starts to come up, it starts to come out of the injector on this side, and get a bit more water in the boiler, get to that glass. Watch part 3, where I get the engine alight and start steaming.